Today, we're going to take a closer look at one of the most profound prophecies in the New Testament. You see, when Jesus was challenged to prove who he was, he offered just one single mysterious sign, one that's been talked about and debated for centuries.
So to really get a handle on this mysterious prophecy, we have to go back to where it all started, that dramatic confrontation where it was first given. It was a moment absolutely charged with tension and, of course, theological weight.
All right, so let's set the scene. We're in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 12. And here, the Pharisees and scribes, who were the religious authorities of the day, they come up to Jesus. But they aren't coming with open hearts or open minds. They're there to test him, demanding some kind of sign from heaven to prove he is who he says he is.
And his response is, well, it's sharp, almost startling. Instead of giving them some grand display they were hoping for, he offers this really cryptic reference to an ancient prophet. So, what in the world did he mean by that?
Well, the key to unlocking all of this is that Jesus himself actually explains the direct comparison he's making. He draws this incredibly powerful parallel between Jonah's experience and what was about to happen to him.
You see, this isn't just some casual, off-the-cuff remark. He's drawing a very direct, very specific parallel. It's a clear foreshadowing of his own death, his burial, and his time in the tomb.
And this verse right here, this is the heart of the prophecy. It's the foundational text for what would become a huge theological and historical debate, one that really centers on the tiny details of the crucifixion timeline.
Now, on the surface, 3 days and 3 nights sounds pretty straightforward, doesn't it? You'd think, okay, that's a literal 72-hour period. But this is where an immediate puzzle pops up when you compare it to the traditional timeline of the crucifixion. If you just count it out, it seems to fall short of a full 72 hours. So, how do scholars and theologians reconcile Jesus' own words with this tradition that's been held for so long? Well, it really leads to 2 main interpretations.
To really grasp this debate, first we need to understand a key cultural concept from that time, a completely different way of counting days than what we're used to.
This idea of inclusive reckoning is absolutely central to the traditional view. It suggests that the language being used wasn't meant to be taken like a stopwatch down to the last second. Any part of a day counted as a whole day. So this really lays out the 2 primary ways of solving this timeline puzzle. One view, which supports the traditional Friday crucifixion, relies heavily on that cultural idiom of inclusive reckoning. The other view argues for a literal 72-hour period, which would mean the crucifixion actually happened on a Wednesday.
But, while the timeline debate is a really fascinating puzzle to work through, many theologians argue that if we focus only on the hours and the days, we risk missing the much deeper, more profound meaning of why this sign was given in the first place.
And this is a really crucial point. The prophecy might be about something so much bigger than just a physical burial. It could be pointing to Christ's descent into death itself, into this ancient concept of the realm of the dead. You see, this idea was a core part of early Christian teaching. Before Christ's resurrection, the understanding was that death held everyone captive in this place. His descent into Hades, sometimes called the harrowing of hell, was seen as a rescue mission.
So when you look at it this way, you start to see that the Sign of Jonah is just layered with all of this incredible meaning. It's not just about a timeline. It's a prophecy of the resurrection, a symbol of victory over death, and ultimately, it's a powerful call to repentance, just like Jonah's own message to Nineveh was.
And that brings us to what is perhaps the most important point of all. The sources really suggest that the real sign isn't a calculation of hours or historical riddle to be solved. The real sign is the event the prophecy points to, the resurrection itself.
It becomes the one, final, and sufficient sign. In this view, Jesus was telling the scribes and Pharisees that they weren't going to get the kind of proof they wanted, not on their own terms. Instead, they, and all future generations, would be confronted with the proof of the empty tomb.
And that really sums it all up, doesn't it? The event itself is the message. The sign isn't just a predictor of the resurrection, the sign is the resurrection.
So what begins with a cynical demand for proof concludes with a sign so profound that it moves beyond simple evidence and instead asks for a response of faith. It's the ultimate pivot from just seeing to truly believing.